Are you dreaming of a vibrant life in Singapore, surrounded by rich cultures, endless opportunities, and good food? Well, the long-term visit pass might be the key to unlocking these dreams. Whether if you're a family member wanting to reunite or young professional chasing career aspiration, the long-term visit pass brings you the pathway to working, living, and thriving in Singapore. But with any big moves, here's are the questions. Are you eligible to apply for long-term visit pass? How do you apply? And any changes in terms of rules and regulation in applying for LTVP in year 2024? We've got your back. Hi everyone, this is Kay, and today we are diving into everything you need to know about applying for long-term visit pass in this year 2024. So who qualifies to apply for the long-term visit pass? Well, there are a few categories of the people that may apply, inclusive of the spouse and unmarried child below 21 years old of a Singapore citizen and a PR, and also their aged parents as well. Besides that, it also stretches to the aged parents of an employment pass holder, and there are also certain categories of the people that may apply, inclusive of graduates from higher learning institution in Singapore seeking employment. Well, we'll cover more example later on. What about the perks? Well, holding on to a long-term visit pass will allow you to be physically close to your family members, and you may stay here for more than 90 days as well. There are also some special perks that you might not be aware. For example, for certain category of the long-term visit pass holder, you're able to work under special consent from Ministry of Manpower. Sounds pretty sweet, right? There are two different types of long-term visit pass. One is managed by Ministry of Manpower, while another one is managed by Immigration and Checkpoint Authority. Well, what are the differences and who actually qualifies? Now, let's break it down. The first type of long-term visit pass is handled by the Ministry of Manpower. Well, it is designed for family members of a work pass holder inclusive of employment pass, S pass, tech pass, one pass, or even personalized employment pass as well. So it is for their common law spouse, stepchildren below 21 years old, or unmarried disabled child above 21 years old, or even their parents. Well, things to take note is that if you're a work pass holder and you wish to sponsor your parents, you have to be earning a monthly salary, a basic salary of $12,000 a month to be able to sponsor your parents. Typically, a long-term visit pass will be sponsored by your employer, and a long-term visit pass can be renewed as well. Most of the time, you will get the first application approved for 1 to 2 years, and typically is renewable up to 3 to 5 years depending on the validity of the employment pass. Well, things to take note is that successful dependent has to meet vaccination requirements in order for their pass to be issued. If you're holding on to a long-term visit pass issued by MOM and you wish to work, well, you have to apply for your own work pass. You might be wondering, what about for legally married spouse and unmarried child below 21 years old? Well, they have to apply for another pass, and this pass is not called the long-term visit pass, but it is called dependent pass. And they have their own set of requirements to fulfill as well. On to the second type of long-term visit pass, which is issued by the Immigration and Checkpoint Authority, ICA. Well, if you are a Singapore citizen or a PR, you may sponsor the following groups of people to apply for a long-term visit pass. The first one will be your legally married spouse, regardless of nationality. The second group of people will be your unmarried child below 21 years old, whether if it's adopted or biological. And the last group of people, the third group of people, will be your parents. Well, black and white is that on ICA website, there is no minimum salary requirement. However, based on our many years of experience, we highly recommend you to be earning about $5,000 a month in order to successfully sponsor your parents to be holding onto a long-term visit pass. Well, you may also apply for a long-term visit pass being a foreigner here if you meet these 3 eligibility criteria. The first one is that if you are a graduate seeking for employment and you have previously graduated from higher learning institution in Singapore. Second group of people will be mother or grandmother of a student pass holder studying in eligible school in Singapore. Well, one thing to take note is that if you're a mother and you are accompanying your children to study in Singapore, you are not able to work during the first year because the government wants you to spend more time with them. But from the second year onwards, if you wish to work, you may apply for an employment pass on your own. And the third category of the people will be visitor who is seeking permission to give birth in Singapore. Now, on to the nitty-gritty stuff, which is applying for the long-term visit pass. Well, it is a pretty straightforward process, and what you need to do is gather your documents, make sure that you meet the financial requirement, check through your documentation, and do the application online electronically. Well, things to take note is that fees for long-term visit pass has changed, and you might want to check the official website for more accurate information. Well, long-term visit pass under the Ministry of Manpower is typically done by your employer or by an employment agency. All you need to do is to make sure that everything is prepared properly, and you may submit the application online via My MOM portal. Meanwhile, for long-term visit pass under the Immigration and Checkpoint Authority, the process can be pretty straightforward. A lot of people will choose to do it themselves. However, there are applications that will face a rejection. As a professional, we believe that important things like your future in Singapore, you should do it once and you should do it right. And this is why at the Immigration People, with our combined experience of 45 years in the Singapore immigration industry, we are here to help you to increase your chances for the approval of your long-term visit pass applications. And one thing to take note is that physical LTVP pass has ceased, and right now, ICA will be issue you a digital version of the long-term visit pass. Now, in terms of processing time, it can vary. Let me give you an example. If a Singaporean were to get married with a foreign spouse, if he has taken the pre-marriage LTVP assessment and it is approved, now the processing time could be up to 6 weeks. However, if there is no pre-marriage long-term visit pass assessment done prior to the marriage, the processing time could be as long as 6 months. Before we wrap up, let's answer some commonly asked questions that you might have. Can an LTVP holder work in Singapore? Well, the answer is that if you are holding onto the long-term visit pass issued by Ministry of Manpower, you're unable to work unless you have obtained your own work pass. Now, if you are spouse of a Singaporean or a Singapore PR, you are able to work with a letter of consent issued by the Ministry of Manpower. Next, can LTVP lead up to permanent residency? The answer is yes. However, it is evaluated on a case-to-case basis. If you are a foreign spouse, you are eligible to apply for a permanent residency under the sponsorship of your spouse. Well, because there are so many different types of LTVP and each case is unique by its own, do feel free to speak to us if you wish to find out more about your eligibility criteria. Well, if you have more questions that we have not answered about long-term visit pass in this episode, feel free to leave your questions in the comment box below. So, is LTVP the ticket to a future in Singapore? Consider your goal and assess your eligibility criteria. And if you decided to take that first step, remember, we are here to guide you every step of the way. And that's all for this episode. If you wish to find out more information and insight about Singapore immigration matters, you can visit our website at tip.com.sg, or you can schedule a complimentary consultation with our professional team of consultants. Like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!